I have been boondocking at Anza Borrego State Park for quite a while. Coming up on 2 weeks, I think. I still have quite a few ingredients, nothing super exciting, but I'm going to go ahead and make an Instant Pot dish and see how it turns out. It's going to be one of those throw things in, and I just wanted to show how you can just take some ingredients and throw them in the Instant Pot and have it turn out pretty good. I think I have a plan. So I've got some sage, some vegetable bouillon, turmeric powder, cayenne, a little bit left of the onions, salt and pepper. I've got a carrot. I've got a delicata squash. This is, I think, the last of my Willamette Valley food. I've got a yam, a quarter of cauliflower, 4 little potatoes. All of it's organic. So keep in mind that I've been boondocked here for almost 2 weeks. So this is the end of my food rations, really. So they've been, you know, so this is more keeper vegetables. I forgot, I have some kale that I'm going to throw in there as well. And that's actually looking really good. So I'm excited about that. Like almost everything I make, I start with coconut oil and onion. So you hit the saute button. That beep means that it's now heating. So I've got the coconut oil in the pot. After the oil gets a little bit hot, I'm going to throw in the rest of my onions that I have and start cutting stuff up as well. I really like to use delicata squash. It's super easy to use because you eat the peel of it as well. So I just have to chop off the ends, scoop out the seeds, and cut it up. I like to cut it into quarters and just little half moon or quarter moons almost. Now for the onion. So I'm getting the vegetables all cut up. I've got the potatoes cut, and I'm gonna I kind of half cut, half break up cauliflower. So getting rid of some of the stem. And I like to just cut through the stem and not the actual cauliflower. But I mostly like to peel it off. At this point, I'm going to get all of this stuff into the pot. I've turned off the onions because they're getting a little done. I do like these flexible cutting boards. For the carrot, because I'm using an organic carrot, I just scrub it. And then I just trim the ends. And I like to quarter them and then slice them. Pretty much that's what I'm doing with everything, is quartering it and slicing it. It doesn't have to be perfect. My knife is sharp, I swear it is. You want to keep your knife sharp. You're more likely to cut yourself with a dull knife than with a sharp knife. Last but not least is the broccoli. No, that's not broccoli. The kale. And I'm just gonna, these are so small that I'm just gonna chop them up like this. Stems and all. They're little ones. They're really lovely, actually. They taste nice and sweet. Before I put in the kale, I'm going to put in all the seasonings and the water, because the kale's gonna fill up my pot above the 2/3 mark, which is the full mark. But that's okay because it totally cooks down. So that's the only exception that I make to that rule on the Instant Pot is for the greens, because they just are so fluffy. I put in probably maybe a 1/4 teaspoon of sage. This is the cayenne, and I do leave the sifter lid on it, and I pretty much just tap, maybe tap one more. The turmeric I like to use more of, so I take the sifter lid off and just try and get, I don't know, probably maybe about a 1/2 teaspoon. I'm gonna do salt and pepper. Okay, I'm gonna add some water to this. I'll be right back. All right, so I've added the water. I think I'm going for more of a stew than a soup, and really the only difference to me is the amount of liquid that's in it. Now I'm just gonna add all of the kale. And what, that's probably I don't know, 3 cups of kale. You can see how it just totally fills up the pan. And so I'm going way over the max, but that cooks down so much that it doesn't matter. All right, the only other thing I'm going to put in there is the coconut aminos. It tastes a little bit like soy sauce. It's a little bit salty, but it doesn't have any soy and it has no gluten. It just has some really good flavor. I'm going to make sure that my thing is set to the back to seal. Put the lid on. It makes that weird noise. I'm going to push pressure. And the last thing I did was oatmeal, so it was on 20. It always remembers the last thing you did. I'm going to do 7 minutes. That seems to work. That's all you do. You push pressure and then you set the amount of time that you want. I'm going to turn off the keep warm. And in a minute, it's going to beep and let me know that it's starting. At this point, I just clean up my mess and wait for it to cook. That's really all there is to it. It's going to beep at me again when it's done. Then what I do is I turn the power off to it and wait for the little pin to drop. So what I mean by that is there's this pin that's down right now. Then when the pressure builds up, it's going to pop up. And when the pressure is done, then it's going to drop back down. And that's what we wait for with the Instant Pot, is that pin drop. That's called natural release of the pressure. And that's generally what I do. So with these stews, I usually do it for 7 minutes on a high pressure. So we're almost to pressure. I can see the pin starting to come up, and there it goes. And so now that the pin is in the upright position, it's going to start counting down here in just a second. So right now it's showing on. A minute or two, maybe 2, after it came to complete pressure, the pot automatically senses that it's ready, and then it starts the countdown. So I set it for 7 minutes on high pressure, and so it's going to start the countdown at 7. And it stops pulling power at that time too. When I started the Instant Pot, it was, I don't remember what it was drawing. It was drawing 60 some amps. And my batteries were at 95%. Now that it's done drawing, it's at 93%. So you can see how solar friendly the Instant Pot is. It's not going to draw very much power at all now that it's at full pressure. Once the Instant Pot turns itself off, you can go ahead and unplug it, and you just wait for this pin to drop. I think it was almost 20 minutes before the pin dropped, but you're not doing anything. Like, you're just waiting for your food to be done. So the beauty of the Instant Pot is that it's not at all labor intensive. You just put the stuff in and you wait for it to be done. I actually have had a safe pressure cooker for a long time, just a stovetop one, and it takes so much babysitting, and this absolutely does not. And the food turns out great every time. And as you can see, that it didn't take very much of my power at all, so I still am in the 90s, and that was with all of the bright lights on so that I could record this. I would say it probably only took about 2, maybe 3% of my batteries. Okay, here's it. I just opened it up. The handle on the side of the Instant Pot allows you to store the lid. The greens are a little more done than I'd like them, but notice how much they cooked down. I'm just gonna stir this up so that you can see everything is just, oops. You can kind of see, but there's steam coming up on the lens. So everything is just done. In fact, I probably need to stop using 7 minutes because I think it just cooks things a little bit too long. So here we have just a nice vegan stew. I even added a little bit of nutritional yeast on the top because that's what you do with a vegan stew, right? This is Joni with TheGalavan. Enjoy your journey.